Morning, guys. Thank you guys for being here. Obviously, reflecting upon last Saturday's win. Obviously, a chance to go 1-0 last weekend and to be 2-0 on the mark. But, a competitive Troy team that had a recent history of having success. Our guys went out there and played a pretty good game. Obviously, a lot to be fixed and corrected from that, even as I mentioned in the post game. But pleased to, have no turnovers and then get that one takeaway. But things to continue to clean up. We got to be better at tackling. We got to be efficient in everything that the defense gives to us. I was pleased with the kicking game and the improvements from week one, but still a lot to be corrected, right? It's still early in the season, and you're seeing things that we can get fixed, and we will get fixed. Make sure we're hitting on the explosives and continue to do those things. But, immediately after that game, after watching that film, our focus now turns to Florida State, a game obviously that a lot of people locally and nationally are excited about. For us, it's the next game. So it is the most important, but it is the next game, and we're not going to treat this game any different than we did our first two opponents. Obviously, great relationship with Mike Norvell and everything he meant to this university, and I know quite a few people on that staff, but this game will not be Silverfield versus Norvell. Look, him and I are very close friends. We sat within an arm's length of each other for 4 years. We know everything about one another and the way each other think and move and breathe, but we've both grown as people and as coaches. Excited for this matchup. It's good for our university. Florida State, obviously, preseason top 10 in the country. They're loaded with talent. They returned 79 players from their AACC championship team. They also returned 9 ACC, all ACC players. All right, and they also boast the country's longest tenured offensive line with a group that's got the most starts and most career college games up front. Their defensive front was also considered preseason one of the best in college football. They're very, very talented. We're going to have to go on the road and play in front of a great atmosphere. But we're excited about the challenges ahead, and the focus will be on us this week and then finding ways to improve. And looking forward to playing another early game and ready to rock and roll.
Coach, the defense only given up one touchdown in the last two games. When you watch the film this weekend, did it really kind of line up, and what do you need to do to kind of push that to this week?
Yeah, Devin, I was pleased. I think you put on the film, and I kind of mentioned it post game. I think you're seeing a defense that's playing fast and physical. And I got a lot of people saying defense looks like it's playing fast and physical. And that's what you want. You want people that turn on the film or people that were there saying, wow, those guys are flying around. And I think that's we're allowing them to play free, right? It's a unique scheme that's multiple changing, and the guys are playing really hard. And they've done a nice job, right? That if we can continue to limit people to field goals, we'll give ourselves a chance. But I've been pleased with it. Obviously, we're going to continue to see different offenses, as we know. But pleased with those guys. They kind of bought into that. And, it's one of those, as you adjust and you implement something a little bit new, let's see how those guys fit. Obviously, some new faces on our defense as well. But been pleased with that. If we can continue just to give up one touchdown for a few more games, I think we're going to be pretty darn pleased.
Ryan, you always talk about, as it pertains to your program and with Fed positive negatives, keep the blinders on. But have you talked about with your team to not let your guard down surrounding the commentary around FSU because of their two games?
We don't even think about that. I mean, our guys thought North Alabama could beat the world. I mean, and our guys lined up and they thought Troy was the best team in the country. Our team's going to line up and think, but we're not going to lack self-confidence. But we also understand the opponents we're playing. There's no letting the guard down. There's no such thing in college football. I think you just put on, go watch the Notre Dame, Northern Illinois game, and credit to Northern Illinois, obviously, who went out there and did. But we show them all the time with of things that occur in college football. It's really, really hard to win football games. So we're going to have to be our absolute best. This team that we're facing is very, very, very talented. Look, Mike Norvell won National Coach of the Year last year. They've got they got all the bells and whistles. They got it all. But guess what? We're hungry, and we're going to come out swinging.
Speaking of that Northern Illinois upset, and you see what Boise did with Oregon, Tulane went to the wire, Kansas State. Do you put pressure? Does that put pressure? And we got to be perfect the rest of the year, no matter what.
I can't focus on anything else other than the Memphis Tigers. I really can't. I can't. The only way I knew some of those things is because with the joy of playing an 11 a.m. game, I was able to watch some other games, sitting there kind of while I was preparing and taking notes on our game that afternoon. So other than that, I don't even worry about that. It's a one game at a time approach. I can't worry about what other teams are doing. how they're doing it, other than the Memphis Tigers and who our next opponent is. Besides that, I can't look beyond that. And we use the term blinders, Jarvis. I mean, it's been great, and I think our players are the exact same way. Let's just take this thing one day at a time, one game at a time.
Coach, you mentioned the returning offensive line for Florida State. Both sides of the ball, physically, how do you match up in the trenches?
Yeah, look, it's going to be a challenge. I've got a lot of faith in our trenches, right? The O-line and D-line here at the University of Memphis. But, on paper, it's a loaded Florida State team with a lot of draft picks on the O-line and D-line. Very, very talented guys that are highly, highly talented. I mean, literally, people were telling me that this defensive line is considered the very best in college football. And this offensive line, anytime you have an offensive line that boasts that many starts in college football, the number one returning starts and games played in all of college football, it's going to be a tough task. Our guys understand the challenges. They'll be well prepared, and we're going to go out there and give everything we got. And hopefully it's a formidable matchup that we're able to come out on top.
Ryan, removing the Mike Norvell factor, how do you sum up what this game means to the program in terms of nationally televised game against one of the most prestigious brands and program in the sport and the opportunity that you guys have in front of you?
Yeah. Look, one, it is a national brand in Florida State, and it's on national television. So those things are great. Those things, to put Memphis in a national spotlight, that's huge. And as you guys well know, it's not only great for the football program, but the institution and the city as a whole. And I'm always in favor of those things. But it is just the next game. I know fans don't want to hear about it, but whoever we line up and play, it's going to be the most important game of the year. It's not a conference game, but we're going to come out and give everything we got. But the opportunity to play in national television audience versus what people call a blue blood program that we're striving to be here at Memphis, it's huge. And so we're going to have to go out there and show we're capable of belonging in that fight, and we're excited about that opportunity.
Coach, you talked about, or you played at Mississippi State a couple of years ago, the Dome in Missouri last year. How are you helping the guys kind of handle what's probably going to be one of the more hostile environments you've had?
Yeah, I'm a Florida native myself, so I know the chop and the fight song and the noise that will be coming from there, from Doak Campbell. Our guys will be prepared. Obviously, we'll play some crowd noise, but like a lot of things, we just got to block it out. And folks, I mean, I always tell them it doesn't matter if we're playing on Getwell, or we're playing Doak Campbell, or we're playing out in Hawaii. The environment shouldn't affect us. Obviously, it's going to be a tremendous crowd. I also suspect there'll be a lot of Memphis Tiger fans making the trek and excited to see them up in the stands. But look, in between those white lines, in the next few days, we're going to have great focus and great preparation. And like I told our guys as well, and I told our staff, we don't have to do anything extraordinary. Just go out there and be the best version of ourselves. Have immense focus and play with confidence, but it starts with a great week of practice, and we can handle that one day at a time. I told our guys last night, take care of their bodies, get rest, recover, watch some film, and be ready for a great Tuesday practice.
Coach, how's Mario Anderson adjusting to possibly being the next great running back at this university?
Yeah, look, obviously it was sad news about Sutton Smith. A guy we all know and love that's worked his tail off to put himself in a place to be able to compete at a high level, so our thoughts continue to be with Sutton. But Mario's a guy that came in and obviously, played SEC ball, led the South Carolina Gamecocks in rushing last year, and came here with the opportunity because he knows the great history of running backs here, and I think he fell in love with the culture that we're able to provide him. I don't think Mario thinks about anything other than, I know in the offseason he talked about stats and all that stuff. We have one goal here. It's to go 1-0 and win a game. So, and his brain, look, whatever gets him to play hard, whether it's in pass protection, catching the football, or being a great teammate, if that's part of an evolution, maybe being a next-rate Memphis running back, that's great. That's the furthest thing on my mind, and he understands that it's all about finding ways to win the football games, whether he gets 30 touches a game or 2 touches. He's kind of bought into the way we do things, and that's what's so pleasing to me.
Ryan, I know that obviously this game isn't Silverfield versus Norvell, but what are the emotions for you just of getting to coach against him?
Yeah, look, I can't hide the fact that, he's a guy. I wouldn't be staying here today if it weren't for Mike Norvell. I do laugh. I was supposed to be on that plane with him to be at his introductory press conference down in Tallahassee, and I sometimes say, it's crazy how things work and how him and I even came into each other's lives. And I think they're not only a mutual friendship, but a great deal of respect for one another. The way he's built his program, obviously he's done a phenomenal job down there. And look, I can't. It's like any football game. Yeah, did I show some emotions in the third quarter Troy game? Absolutely, I did. But most people watch me during the game. I try to stay neutral in my thinking. That way, I can be at the best of my ability for our team, whether it comes to situational football, helping out with play calling, whatever that may look like. So. I probably reality of it. I won't give it two thoughts other than shaking the hand of a guy that I consider a brother pregame and seeing some, what people I call family down there, and then line up and playing football. I've got to be at the best of my ability to make sure our guys are set up, and then, look, him and I probably won't talk this week. Maybe we'll send a jab or two via text message, but other than that, we'll talk pregame quickly after the game, and then. We both keep pretty busy schedules, so we'll reconvene. Last time we got to see each other this summer, and then I'm sure we'll talk about when we get together again in the off season.
And in terms of on the field stuff, they've obviously had a week to prepare. They had a lot of problems to fix. Obviously, are you expecting you're going back and watching those games, but I'm assuming you're expecting new things, different things, improved things.
Absolutely, they get paid a lot of money to coach football down there in Tallahassee, a lot of money, and so they're really good at what they do, and they're not going to sit back and say, well, let's just keep doing this. Great respect for Mike, what he does, and then obviously Adam Fuller, who I know very well. They're going to be preparing. Look, there's a lot of similarities in the way things are run. So I'm sure they're sitting there going through and say, okay, this signal means this means that, this means this, and so they're going to have a full-blown. But guess what? It's my job to make sure that we're changing it. So we've got some tricks up our sleeves. I know the second, and here's the deal. Mike will be on his way to his radio station tonight. He's going to be listening to this press conference. I already know it right now. He'll be sitting in his car, listening to this very press conference. I already know the second series of the game, he's going to be running a trick play. Like, we know each other like the back of each other's hand. So they're going to be prepared. And when he's watching this press conference tonight, sitting in the car on the way to his radio station, I'll put a smile on my face. No, hey, Mike, look forward to seeing you. We got to be prepared for everything. And that's kind of the nature of college football. I don't think you see the same thing week in and week out. And it's my job to put us in the right foot forward, no matter what we see.
Ryan, with that said, how much of the offense or how little of the offense have we seen through two games? It seems like you've held things back, and is that ready to be unleashed now in the next few weeks?
Explain why you think I would love to know why you think we've held things back.
No, I'm asking you if you have.
Oh, well, yes.
We
haven't shown anything.
We haven't seen.
We haven't shown anything.
We haven't seen. We haven't seen anything unorthodox.
Okay, well, we have ran a reverse. No, we have not run a flea flicker. Maybe we'll put that in for this game. But no, I think that's a adage that a lot of people like to think, well, you didn't score 50 points, so you must have held things back. We also averaged, I think, 61 plays the last two games on offense and 62 on defense. So I think we're seeing college football, whether it's the helmet communication or the opponents, right? I mean, I think our last game was like 3 hours and 2 minutes. We're kind of getting, which I'm great with, getting towards these NFL. And everybody wants to see these astronomical numbers. I don't know if we're seeing it. I mean, look, could we be a little bit more efficient on offense? Sure. But every week's a new week. So I wouldn't sit here and say, to our opponent, yes, we've shown everything, that we got nothing else left to show. We've emptied our bag of plays, or we haven't shown anything. We're going to come out and run triple option. So, look, it's my job to go up there and come up with creative schemes that can put us in the right situations. But again, you got to look at your opponent, right? And I can have a bunch of ideas. Coach Kramsey, who's phenomenal, Coach Hankins. But if our players can't execute it, what's the point? We got to get them playing fast. And then obviously, like we talked about, this is our first road game too as well, in a hostile environment. So got to be careful what we put on their plates. But I think our guys will be hungry whatever we put in front of them.
Ryan, DJU has taken a lot of criticism the last couple weeks for how he's played. What are you seeing on tape, and is there more out there for him and that offense from what you see?
Yeah, so the good news is I have no idea what's said about anything, which is, you can call me a moron for not reading the newspapers or paying any attention to social media. I have no idea what's said about him. I know he's a freaking phenomenal quarterback, one of the highest rated quarterbacks to come out of high school in a long time, starter at Clemson. Starter and won a lot of football games at Oregon State. He is big, he is athletic, and he's got a rocket of an arm. So he can do a lot of good things. Mike's going to put him in the right position to have success. And you see when he's on, he's on. And so that's our job to make sure that we're affecting. When I say affect him, that doesn't mean we're blitzing every play. Maybe that means we're dropping 8 every play. So he's really, really talented. And they've got some guys that can freaking run. You put on that film, you say, huh. oh wow, they got a bunch of 5 stars and a bunch of guys that can go play ball. DJ is a phenomenal quarterback, and obviously the extra time to prepare, it's unique. I mean, it's whoever did our schedule. Thank you for they got an extra week. Navy's got an extra week. A lot of these teams, I think every team we play has a bye prior to us leading up from here on out. But they'll get them ready and right.
Along the lines of your relationship with Mike, you coached with him same side of the ball for 4 years. Has he changed from what you've seen very much? I mean, can you change? He's got basic philosophies which you share.
Yeah, well, look, there's some things that you can look on film and say, huh, I see what you're doing. And same, right? I mean, he can watch, and I think him and I could both, if there's nothing on and him and I are in a dark room, separate rooms, watching each other's film like we're both doing right now, I see what he's trying to do here. I see, okay. And look, we all adapt and change and try to improve. A lot's based off of skill sets and what you have, right? I mean, if with the veteran offensive line and a big quarterback, there's going to be certain things that they've done that he may have not done with Brady White here, And so there's those things you see. We constantly grow and try to figure different things out and how do you adapt. But at the very core of it, there's a lot of similarities, and I don't think that'll ever change. And there's a reason why he's been so successful, and I think we've had a little bit of success here on offense as well. The basis of our cultures, the basis of a lot of things are very, very similar. And again, I give him a lot of credit for that. I just hope that ours is a little bit stronger come Saturday.
Ryan, talking about skill sets and what you have, Davion Ross has been an impact player this year. What does it say about him, his resiliency coming back after that injury, and what type of players has he been this year?
Yeah, I think a lot of people forgot about Davion, as we call him in the program, DK. I mean, he was one of those guys. He was, came here. He was an All-American at Eastern Kentucky. Came here and kind of everybody didn't think a whole lot of him because he's not the biggest in stature, but a guy started football games, a lot of football games for us. Then started last year, gets hurt and out for the whole season. It kind of, unfortunately, in some of those injuries, it's an afterthought. Okay, now, who are all the transfers? Who are all these new people? By the way, maybe one of our best defensive players is a guy that's come back from injury. And the resiliency is huge. He's the type of young man that gets it. He's not a big rah-rah guy. In fact, he's part of our leadership group. And I kind of asked him, I said, what makes you a unique leader? Because just saying I do what I'm supposed to, that's just part of being a college football player. And he's like, you know what, I talk to guys as individuals and try to motivate them and lead them just by talking to their ear. And I think that's awesome. And that kind of shows you the type of young man he is. He's been resilient. He goes out there and handles his business. He's a pro. He loves this place. And, I'm glad he's just kind of flying under the radar. I hope he continues to make great plays because he's been instrumental for our success on defense.
You talked about pumping in crowd noise this week. Will you pump in artificial chops, score chants, all that?
Yeah, you know what? I haven't thought about it. It didn't go real well when they had me out there ringing the cowbell for Mississippi State. So we'll think about it. Yeah, we may have it. I just don't want to hear that stuff in my sleep. But, look, it's going to be part of it. And if that anything I can do to prepare the environment, right? We're playing on a grass field, which I think is unique. You say, well, don't you all, we practice on grass field, so maybe that means we don't come in the indoor at all. Let's just stay out on the grass to get our guys footing set and all that stuff. Maybe it's a different set of cleats, but yeah, we'll probably prepare. I'm sure our equipment staff will have that song geared up and ready to roll more so than we would like to hear.
Ryan, you got the locking yourself in the dark room to watch the film. I've always been curious, what does that process look like for you? Like, what are you looking for? What have you seen?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to tell you too much what I've seen. No, I think part of it is, a day like today and even like last night, right? You put together the previous game, and then you meet with your staff, kind of go through a general idea of the personnel. And for me, obviously, watching all three phases, I need to do that. And then the biggest thing I can do and the best thing I can do for myself is kind of put my cell phone far away and just really how much can I focus and lock myself in and just say, okay, hey, let's watch 5 hours straight of film, and then take a quick breather, stand up, stretch, and then go back to the grind. And I think that's what you have to do this day and age. And while I'm looking at that is, right, okay, hey, what are the things that we're seeing, offense, defense, and special teams, that may be weaknesses, okay? And then how does that play into things that we can attack and find ways that, okay, because sometimes you watch another opponent, you're like, oh, this looks really cool, I'd like to try this, and then you start making up stuff that's not part of your scheme, right? Oh, well, I saw them do this, that it doesn't work. And so how does it fit with what we do from a core, right? You obviously can adapt and overcome offense, defense, and special teams with some of that stuff, but I think that's part of it. And then, like for a lot of, right, like today's a base down day, and then tomorrow I'll really study third downs, red zone, and the kind of the situational football. And then as we go in, then maybe 2 minute, 4 minute as we prepare. But I love days like today because, one, I can put my phone up for like 6 hours, which is phenomenal. And not, most of my issues, someone has to come knock on the door, and most people say, let's leave them alone. And then we'll gather as a staff and kind of go through some of that stuff this afternoon, which is a lot of fun to hear. We've got the amazing coaches, and I'm always excited to hear those that are much smarter than me, what they have thoughts and how we can attack our opponent.
Ryan, we're just talking about the perseverance of Davion Ross. Brandon Thomas, I'm sure, put a smile on your face, scoring those 2 touchdowns. With the running back room the way it is now, he's going to be an integral part of the team. He's the picture in the dictionary of perseverance. Can you talk a little about Thomas and the road he's been through to be at this point?
Brandon's one of those young men. Anybody that's been around him, he's just got that infectious smile, and he loves this place. And he's had, we'll call it what it is, an up and down career here at the University of Memphis. But he's a guy that recruited out of Little Rock and I've known really, really well for quite some time now. Those Greg, those are always fun ones because I've been around him. I know his story. It's different than the young man that you may only get to know for 6 months. And he's a guy that came here, and people forget. His first year was COVID, and in that middle of October he opted out of the season. And that was kind of one of those stories like, wait, what happened to that true freshman running back that was so promising? Well, he opted out of that season. And didn't go to the bowl game. And then the next year had success, right? Ran for over 100 yards. I always go back to that Mississippi State game and had success and was our starting running back. And then some other things happened. Didn't travel with us for the bowl game. And then, just kind of one of those guys, but he sticks around. He's going to get his degree this December, which I'm so excited, for him to get his college degree. That's something that, recruiting him out of high school, I said, I can't promise you anything other than I'm going to give you everything I got. I'm going to pour into you, and you're going to get your degree. And, just to see his success. And he's also kind of really, you never sit there and say, hey, accept your role. But he's a young man that's kind of bought into it and said, okay, I'm going to be the short yardage goal line guy. I'm going to be a 3-phase starter in special teams. I'm going to do really well. And I appreciate it. But if we say we got to hand the ball to him first play of the game, he'll be ready for that as well. But yeah, Greg, I've been so pleased with his perseverance and his mindset and approach. And he's one of those guys that you just see the maturation process, right? We don't always get the 22-year-old that's the final product. Part of that is, and I always say it's my job, and maybe I'm old school in that approach of believing that maybe we can have a positive impact on these young men. I think we have on him, but he's also had a positive impact on me, and our program will be better because he's been part of it.
What's your message?
This is kind of something. You go in as the ranked team this week. Florida State is not. How do you feel about that? And how do you think the rankings going to affect your team psyche?
Well, one, that's news to me. That's good to know. We're ranked. Okay.
Coaches.
Good to know. There you go. That means absolutely nothing to me. Absolutely. I would love to know what the ranking is come December. But I truly, and I'm not trying to sound funny, Jarvis. I no idea, nor that means absolutely nothing. Our guys got to go out there and work. We know we're going to have our hands full. And in reality, right, they were the 10th ranked team in the country. That means they're really, really talented, and people have really, really high expectations for them as well. And so generally that just means, hey, they're going to be pissed off, and they're really talented. That's sometimes you can walk into a buzzsaw. But you know what? I got great faith in our guys that they're going to continue to put their head down and grind and find ways to improve this week and accept this challenge going down there with the mindset that this is the next game, and let's see what we're capable of doing.
So I guess the relative lack of vertical passing on Saturday, was that a product of the coverages they were playing, the wind, combination?
Yeah, Matt, I think it was a good combination of both, right? One, they started the game playing really top down. They're like, hey, we're not going to give the explosives. And then I think they got 6 pass interference calls, and so like, and I was sitting there thinking, someone said, well, you guys struggle to throw the ball down the field. It's like, well, 4 of those were vertical shots that had they maybe not grabbed or tugged, could have been, and then all of a sudden you say, man, explosive pass offense. So 6 pass, I think that was part of it. They were going to pass interfere if we tried to take vertical shots and live with that. And then the wind was a factor. I mean, geez, I think I don't know if it had anything to do with the west part of the stadium missing or not, but it was, it was sitting there swirling around. And, I was pleased, obviously, that with the kickers were able to handle it well. But I think it did have some effect on the passing game for both teams. But they played top down, and then they started playing some man and blitzing the heck out of us. And when they were playing man is when I think the 6 pass interference calls on them occurred. So we'll see. Again, some of these teams, we got to take what they give us. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what Adam Fuller's going to bring to the table on Saturday and see if we can match it.
Is Rock the new Calvin Austin?
Is Rock the new Calvin Austin?
He got all those PIs.
Yeah. Hey, I told when Rock got frustrated, I said, "Hey, man, first downs. I don't care. You may have 0 catches. You go get us 6 first downs that way. We'll be quite happy."
What's your message to playing against a team that's going to be completely angry and feel like they've got nothing to lose?
Well, guess what? I'm a very angry person. I don't know if you saw my sideline demeanor. I'm generally angry. I'm only nice around you guys because I like the media so much. No, look, if they're going to be well coached, and they've got, look, every time you line up to play the game, you got something to lose. We're all playing to win the game, and so are we. So it's going to be a heck of a matchup, and we're excited.
Ryan, coming off of 2 home games now, just how's the atmosphere been coaching in there, and just how different has it been, obviously, with the renovation?
Yeah, look, first off, let me give credit to the students have been phenomenal. I mean, our students, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, and our players, like, we love it, we see it. The Tiger Walk's been fun, a little bit of a unique path for us, kind of going down the side. But that's been fun. Our crowd's been great. But I'm going to challenge. I'd love to continue to see that crowd grow, right? The next home game will be MTSU. The time hadn't been set yet, but I'd love to see even a larger crowd. We're going to continue to do our best to put on a good performance. And it is unique, right? It is kind of unique running out there. Like I said, the first time I ran out there, looked to the left, I was like, I'm going to look to the right where there's more fans, make myself feel a little bit better. But it's great. And I think that credit to those that helped set it up. I think it looks really sharp. I haven't watched any of our own TV copies to know what it looks like on television, but it seems to be looking well. I don't get any fan complaints in my email other than play calling about the restrooms, the ticket lines, any of that stuff. So it seems to be going well. But again, we want to continue to create a great home field advantage for us. So the more fans that continue to show up, even travel some of these away games, that blue shows out well in the stands.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.